It's very hard to describe the benefits of a Vetements hoodie to people who have never tried one, but I'll tell you one right now. It's the storage, the pocket. Like, look at how practical the storage in this. Like, you didn't even know I had this in my pocket. I feel like that's definitely worth some money. Anyways, today we're here to review some knives from Henninger Designs, who you guys might remember from my original Telesto review, in which I was in a way a bit harsh. I was actually kind of shocked to see how many people kind of agree with my opinion on the Telesto, because up until that point I thought I was kind of the only person who felt that way about it. Today we're here to review two knives from Henninger Designs, a maker who reached out to me shortly after I made my original review. If you guys get what I'm putting down, I feel like we should cover something really quick, which is if you're making a product, doing something, providing something of some kind, for me it's videos, you should be able to take like a little bit of criticism. People have a right to their opinion, and since you're providing a service, you kind of have to, be able to deal with criticism and stuff. Use that criticism to further evolutionize your product and make it what people want it to be. And that's kind of the main lesson of this video, because I don't really feel like he has done that with the Telesto V2. Now, there is another knife we're going to be talking about that definitely is better than the Telesto V2, but we're going to talk about the Telesto V2 first. So right here I have the Telesto V2. You're probably not noticing much of a difference from the original one, especially if you watch my original review, but there are some changes. S35 VN Tanto blade with a milled bevel. By the way, this is not sharp. Once again, Forrest has come with a unsharp knife. Not a complaint at all. I know there's a lot of makers out there who physically cannot ship sharp knives, similar to like Machine Wise and stuff, but I feel like if you're paying like $800 for a knife, it should come sharpened. If it's like a whole like thing where he physically cannot do it and is not allowed to ship, then I understand. Anyways, besides that, it is on Zen pins. It's using bushings and washers, which I will say are as good as last time. The tolerances of the original Telesto were nothing to scoff at. I will say he has done very good with the tuning on both these knives, so congratulations to you, Forrest. Your tuning is still consistent. We do have some titanium screws for the pivots as well as the Zen pins. I'm not a huge fan of titanium screws, but honestly, considering that he went as far as to give it a special color, it makes the knife seem a little bit more novel, a little bit more bespoke, a little bit more custom. So I will say that is kind of a thumbs up for me. However, as far as durability goes, I will have to give it a thumbs down. I prefer stainless steel hardware any day over titanium hardware, because everyone knows that titanium hardware strips a lot easier than stainless steel does. But honestly, at the end of the day, it's just a preference. If you prefer customization over practicality, which I do not, then go ahead. I'm not a really big person of customization. We have the channel constructed titanium handles. These ones have a new addition of jimping at the very end, and I will say the jimping is good. I haven't done a whole lot of ladders on it because the balance is not what I prefer still, but the jimping is there, and I feel like it does help. So overall, good addition. I will say overall, the balance definitely has shifted in a more recognizable direction. In the original review, I told you guys that the Telesto just kind of felt like it doesn't even know what it wants to be. And while there is still some DNA in the Telesto V2, I feel like it is marginally better as far as balance goes. The balance definitely has shifted more in the blade bias direction, and because of that, it's become more recognizable. And I feel like that is more of a benefit than it might seem, because the original Telesto, I couldn't tell what the fuck kind of balance it had, because it was all over the place. And while this one still is, especially in aerials, it is marginally better to flip, and I will give him the thumbs up for that. So overall, I will say good job on some improvement. Overall, I still feel like there are things that could be improved. Our next up, we need to check out the new knife from him called the Euphemy. This is apparently a new knife that he has designed, and I will say there are some new things about it that I do think are more refreshing, specifically in the performance and balance part of it. But as far as new things go, we have a new milling texture, which is very late to the game, in my opinion. There have been already a lot of knives that have gone with this machine texturing, and people who have already evolutionized and gone farther with it, but he is just now doing it. And honestly, I'd say it's better late than ever, because this is something we desperately needed for the Henninger Designs line. Also, the handles are a lot less square. They're a lot more round, which is a huge thumbs up. Thank God. I am so tired of these square ass handles. Look at that. They're so square. Look at the Euphemy now. Nice and round. It looks like a round knife should be. Anyways, it is still using Zen pins, has the same titanium hardware as a Telesto, and it uses the same Bowie blade as would come on Bowie blade Telestos. This one has a hand grind though, and it is also not sharp as I stated before, but the hand grind does look good. There are no hot spots on this knife as far as comfortability goes. In fact, I'd say this knife is definitely a lot more refreshing than the Telesto. This knife already is better than the Telesto. Another new thing for this knife is it's lighter than the Telesto, which again is a huge thumbs up. This is actually under 4 ounces, which surprisingly I don't hate. I do not really like lighter knives, especially when their main focus is to be light. I do respect the creativity and the trying to be, unique as far as being light and like super nimble, but sometimes too light is a bad thing, and sometimes knives just fly all over the place when they're too light. This is like actually really good weight. I think the handles of this knife are perfect just as is. The overall feel, comfortability, quality, and refinement of these handles is a lot better than what he's been doing in the past few years. And the overall, solidity and quality of these handles is actually really, really good. I actually really admire these handles. Plus, I'm a sucker for machine finishes. I love the Reaper, the EX10. This, as far as the handles goes, the texture on this is very similar to that of an EX10. So if you're looking for some kind of baseline for the handles, there you go. Plus, I'd say the thickness of it is actually pretty similar to an EX10 as well. The sound on these two knives is also really superb as well. It's one thing I forgot to mention about the Telesto is it does sound good. I will say I didn't mention it because it sounds just like identical to the Telesto that I originally tried. So that's kind of why I didn't mention it. But this one sounds unique. And while it does sound like some other knives I've heard, especially in the last few years, it does sound very good. So go ahead and take a listen to this. It sounds pretty good. Also, another thing I do like about this knife overall is the performance. Because of how light this is and because it feels a little bit more neutral because of the hand grind, I actually think this is a pretty refreshing flipper. And honestly, it's been growing on me quite a bit. In fact, I'd say this is actually a really surprising knife because I didn't think, considering the Telesto V1, he would come this hard on a knife like this. I knew he'd be coming hard with like a newish knife because ultimately he asked me if I wanted to review it, but I didn't expect it to be this good. Overall, I feel like this knife definitely is more worth it for the money, but there are a few things I wish he would change. For one, again, the blade length. The blade length on this knife is too long. This would help make it more neutral, especially considering that the handles are a lot lighter than the original Telestos. I actually really like the Euphemy as far as the quality goes, the tolerances go, the smoothness, the performance. Overall, I feel like this is a pretty solid knife, much better than what he's been producing in the last few years. And I'd say definitely a step in the right direction. So overall, it seems like he is doing things better. However, it's coming in the form of new things. And honestly, it sounds like what he should be doing is just leaving the Telesto behind. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you slap the like button as well as tap the notifications bell. And remember to subscribe. Thank you guys for watching. See you guys next time.